Hello aspirants, looking at current affairs for 16th April. The news items picked up from the Hindu newspaper are these 14. We'll look at them in detail. The first one, US, Britain, France rain over 100 missiles on Syria. So the three forces, Western powers, have struck Syria with more than 100 missiles on 14th April 2018. So this is the first coordinated Western strike against the Damascus government, targeting what they call the chemical weapons sites in Syria. So this is in retaliation of a suspected poison gas attack which the Syrian government had undertaken. So this is an allegation by the Western powers which Syrian government, Bashar al-Assad government supported by Russia denies. And in response to that suspected poison gas attack, missiles have been struck on those chemical sites, suspected chemical weapon sites. So the confrontation has enhanced. So this is regarding the Syrian civil war, which has been going on for last 7 years and has resulted in at least 500,000 people being killed here. So here the regions shown. This is Syria, you can see. So the three sites near Damascus, here you can see the site Perse Research Center here was destroyed using 76 missiles. Then second region here, Himshinshar storage near Homs was hit by 22 projectiles, and its bunker facility was targeted by 7 Scout missiles here. So these are alleged chemical weapons facilities in Syria. Then next is red flag eases MHA official out. So this is regarding Ministry of Home Affairs official Bipin Malik. So he is the additional secretary of disaster management, rather was, because he has been shunted out and has been transferred to the culture ministry. So he had actually red flagged the involvement of private consultants in running a new emergency response control room for disaster management in the Ministry of Home Affairs. So he had written to the Home Secretary, he was the additional secretary, so he written to him that private consultants should not be brought in because there will be security risk. So this private consultancy firms actually are being awarded contracts here. So as this emergency control room is to be built on strongest communication platform using terrestrial and satellite networks. So ISRO will be the nodal agency for the SATCOM technology to satellite communication technology. So that's why involving private consultants here would result in security concerns too. Plus also there will be ownership and intellectual property rights issues. So that is why he had highlighted this point that private consultants should not be involved here. And that has resulted in him being shunted out into the culture ministry now. Then next is Nagaland loses soil heavily due to jhum. So this is regarding jhum or shifting cultivation. So first of all, you should understand what is this. So this is an indigenous cultivation method in agriculture. So here farmers actually slash down the forest or whatever trees are there in a particular region. So they slash down those trees and burn the patch of land. So that is cleared off. Slash and burn is also another name for it. So that results in the land being cleared and then they grow food crops there. So when the soil fertility that takes place for a few years and gradually the soil fertility in that patch will decline. So then they shift to another place and burn another patch of jungle or forest again. So this is called slash and burn or shifting cultivation or jhum cultivation in India. So this jhum cultivation as such is practiced in Northeast, and here in Nagaland the state report says that it has resulted in average 30.62 metric tons of soil area per hectare lost annually. So this land area being lost because if you are cutting down trees then it would result in soil being becoming loose because tree roots keep them intact. So soil erosion would take place, and also when water runoff takes place, then that also the trees reduce their speed as such. So this velocity of the runoff will also be increased, even rainwater runoff, and that would also result in erosion. So this is there. Also destruction of prime agriculture and forest lands would result in landslides. So landslides, again the same reason, trees keep them intact. So landslides increase, flash floods increase, sedimentation increases. So these are the concerns because of jhum or shifting cultivation. So in Nagaland actually a huge amount of rural household practices shifting cultivation. So this is on 5.71% of the geographical area of Nagaland. So this is now resulting in concerns being raised. However, an Assam-based agricultural scientist says that jhum cultivation as such is not to be blamed. It has stood hill dwellers in the northeast in good stead for ages. It has been practiced for ages. But then it has been presently given a bad name because of the traditional system is failing. Because the practice of jhum cultivation presently is not as it was earlier. Because earlier jhum cycle was around 20 to 30 years. So after every 20-30 years, they would cut down another patch of forest. But now it has been reduced to 5 years. So if it takes place more frequently, then there's no time for replenishment, for the trees to grow up again, the forest to rejuvenate. And that is why jhum cultivation practiced in its present form is not suitable. The next is, despite Mosul massacre, Iraq is still a draw for Punjab's jobless. So many people from Punjab, youths, they take up jobs in Iraq as workers because here there is a huge number of infrastructure projects which are being going on because Iraq is a war-torn country. So there are many projects, building, rebuilding taking place, and labor is required here, and the construction worker here earns well. They can earn around $800 to $1,000 per month on an average, and even in Dubai the payment is of comparatively much less. So monthly earnings there are quite low. Here it is double, more than double that you earn in Dubai. So many people from India, especially from Punjab, are attracted, and they also use illegal channels to reach Iraq. So recently we had this news of 39 laborers who had gone to Iraq and were killed by IS militants. So this is the news regarding that people still take up work in Iraq. Then next is, government ties up with IIT Delhi for safety switches on vehicles. So the government, Ministry of Electronics and IT, in partnership with IIT Delhi, is working on switch-based device in cars and buses. So this will help in ensuring safety of women. So this switch-based device as such, which would be there, this would help the woman in case of distress in public transport. So this panic switch button, when it is invoked, when it is pressed, it will result in a loud alarm in the vehicle, and it will attract public attention, and also the coordinates, the location of the person will be sent to the police control room and necessary help can be provided. So this has been worked on. Field trials of the beta version, means the trial version as such, is already underway, and it will be rolled out by next month. So the project actually has been developed by IIT Delhi and is being funded by the Nirbhaya Fund. So this Nirbhaya Fund was set up in 2013 after the Nirbhaya rape case of Delhi. So here this Nirbhaya Fund has to be used for implementation of initiatives to enhance the safety and security of women in the country. And government, we have seen quite many times that the government has faced criticism that this Nirbhaya Fund was being underutilized. Though there is a need to take concrete steps for safety of women in the country, and now this one initiative is going to see the light of the day. So this is there. So here you can see in 2016, government had also announced plans to make it mandatory for mobile phone makers to provide a panic button on the devices. So this was proposed to be started from Jan 2017, last year, but it was delayed by almost a year, and now trial for this system has also been started in UP in early 2018. So this is also another initiative, panic button on mobile phones. So here you can see how the project is being implemented, this panic switch button. So under the Nirbhaya scheme, these one-stop centers have been established. So these have been launched. They provide support services for survivors of gender violence. So such one-stop centers disperse money to the victims, survivors of gender violence, and the fund allocation for these one-stop centers to various states is shown here. With, you can see the from purple, dark purple to light purple, the money allocated increases to maximum being for green. Himachal Pradesh being getting the maximum. Then next is chip in for viewership data, says INB Ministry. So Information and Broadcasting Ministry has proposed installing a chip in the new television set-top boxes to collect data on channels watched. So this chip which would be there in new set-top boxes will help the ministry to get more authentic viewership figure for each channel. So it says, the ministry says that this will help advertisers also to better invest, expenditure wise they can wisely invest, spend, and also DAVP, that is the Directorate of Advertising and Visual Publicity. So this is the nodal agency of the government for advertising by various ministries and its organizations. So government advertises also are taken care of through this. So when correct information is there on viewership of every channel, then better allocation of expenditure or better expenditure allocation can be done. So this is actually the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting's response to recommendations given by TRAI on the issues related to new DTH licenses, direct to home licenses. So actually on this, TRAI has said that this should be given as a separate suggestion to TRAI. So this is the response of TRAI to the ministry's suggestion that it would send a separate reference to TRAI as per the provisions of the TRAI Act. So this is there. Also presently the viewership details which come are through Broadcast Audience Research Council India. So this data which comes forth, the Ministry of Information Broadcasting says that BIRC is actually like a monopoly and there is no alternative to it, and it also does not reveal how they arrive at the viewership figures, their methodology they apply, and the area which they survey. So that is why Ministry is asking for a chip in the set-top boxes, so Ministry directly knows the viewership of channels. Then next is Pakistan denies pilgrims consular access. So India and Pakistan again are at loggerheads. India has accused Pakistan of violating diplomatic protocols after Islamabad allegedly prevented meetings between visiting Sikh pilgrims and Indian diplomats. So Sikh pilgrims are visiting this Gurudwara Panja Sahib. So on the occasion of the Punjabi New Year as such, the Baisakhi celebrations, the beginning of Punjabi New Year. So they were visiting this Gurudwara Panja Sahib in Pakistan, and they were supposed to meet the Indian High Commission's diplomats in Pakistan. So they were not allowed to meet the visiting pilgrims. So this India says is a violation of Vienna Convention on diplomatic relations. Also, there is a bilateral protocol between India and Pakistan for visit of religious shrines. There is a code of conduct for treatment of diplomatic consular personnel as such. So all these are being violated. This is called diplomatic discourtesy. So this issue has been raised by India. Pakistan, on the other hand, had also raised similar issues in March 2018, last month, for India not granting permission to pilgrims to attend the annual festivities at the shrine of Hazrat Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti in Ajmer, in Rajasthan. So this is there. So here you can see Gurudwara Panja Sahib. So it has the impression of Guru Nanak Dev Ji's hand. So this Gurudwara here is famous in Pakistan. Also Nankana Sahib, where the founder of Sikh religion, Guru Gobind Singh, was born, also lies here in Pakistan. Then this is regarding the Vienna Convention on Diplomatic Relations. So this codifies centuries of customs related to how states are to treat each other and their emissaries. So that is the principles of independence and sovereignty of states as such is also acknowledged. Plus, states should formally acknowledge each other by establishing embassies and consulates in each other's territory and accepting the credentials of their representatives. So this is the International Vienna Convention. And this is regarding Hazrat Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti, the Sufi saint whose shrine is in Ajmer, Rajasthan. He is also known as Garib Nawaz. He is a saint of the Chishti order of Sufism. So Chishti order, this introduced and established itself in Indian subcontinent, and the successors, the spiritual successors of Hazrat Khwaja Moinuddin Chishti are Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. So he was succeeded by Qutubuddin Bakhtiyar Kaki. This is the Sufi saint on whose name the Qutub Minar has also been named. Then he was succeeded by Fariduddin Ganjshakar, and finally he was succeeded by the next Sufi saint was Khwaja Nizamuddin Aulia, whose shrine is in Delhi. Then next is Air Force tests its sinews with 1,110 aircrafts. So Indian Air Force is trying a variety of new tactics and operational strategies. It's conducting its grand exercise Ganga Shakti. Around 1,110 aircrafts are taking part in it. It started on April 8 and will take place till April 22 all across India. So the Indian Air Force and Army are testing, real-time coordination, deployment and employment of air power in short intense battle scenario, also joint operations with other services, and also it is testing its flight, its aircrafts as such. Also for the first time, indigenously made light combat aircraft Tejas has been deployed. So its efficacy and it's also been tested, and its integration in the operational metrics of IF is being tested. The next is PMLA will need more changes. So this is regarding Prevention of Money Laundering Act. So India will actually have to make changes to the act, because under Financial Action Task Force FATF, which is the international task force which has been established, you should know about FATF. So it sets standards, develops and promotes policies to combat money laundering and terror financing. So here FATF has its review undertaken. So this review of India would also take place. That will be a mutual evaluation, as it is called. So on-site mutual evaluation by FATF will take place for India, and this will be done in November-December 2020. The last such evaluation was done around 10 years back as such. So you can see it was done in 2010. Means every 10 years. So in 2010, when FATF mutual evaluation of India was done, so there was overall satisfaction, but then some suggestions were given by FATF and they need to be implemented. So before this next review in 2020, we need to make amends. So some of the key recommendations of FATF are that the money laundering as such should be an explicit standalone offense. And this India will have to put into effect, because presently too, under Prevention of Money Laundering Act, though it has been amended several times, still money laundering is a predicate offense oriented as such, predicate offense. So the law is a predicate offense oriented law. Predicate means it's not the primary offense. So its fate depends on the cases which are pursued by other investigating agencies like CBI, Income Tax Department, Police, etc. So money laundering is not a standalone offense. So verdicts in 2G spectrum case, Aircel Maxis case, etc. by the CBI courts also, in which money laundering angle was probed by the Enforcement Directorate, did not last, because the crime as such, which was being investigated into, could not stand. So this is what is being demanded, that money laundering being made a standalone offense. In itself, it should be an offense. So the Enforcement Directorate is actually empowered to investigate the financial aspects of the crimes as such under other laws. So when other agencies are investigating into the crimes as such, so the money laundering angle is investigated into by the Enforcement Directorate of India. So now we need to make this change, that money laundering as such should become a standalone offense. So in that case, what would happen is that laundered assets become the corpus delicti, means they become delicti, means concrete evidence of a crime, and they should be forfeitable. So if the crime is not proved, then the laundered assets as such, they cannot be forfeited. So this aspect has to change, and this amendment is required before 2020. So here you can see FATF recommendations as such which are given are shown. Identify the risks and develop policies for international coordination. Establish powers and responsibilities of competent agency. Enhance transparency and facilitate international cooperation. Then next is, e-tailers may have to clarify if they profiteered from GST cut. So this is regarding National Anti-Profiteering Authority in the GST. So this National Anti-Profiteering Authority will now ask e-commerce companies to give response on whether they profiteered from sale of goods after reduction in GST rates. So GST rates have been reduced too. So when GST rates are reduced, then they have to identify buyers and refund the tax amount which was collected from them, which need not be. So this is the first step which needs to be taken if profiteering has taken place. If they are unable to identify buyers, then they have to deposit the amount which has to be refunded into the consumer welfare fund. So many FMCGs, fast moving consumer goods majors like Hindustan Unilever Limited has already deposited 120 crores in this fund. Also Nestle has deposited 13 crores. So when GST rates are reduced, then this is the step which needs to be taken if buyers cannot be identified. Also, the National Anti-Profiteering Authority is mandated to ensure that the benefits of the reduction in GST are passed on to consumers by way of reduction in prices. So of course, that is the first thing. So first of all, the prices should be reduced when GST rates change, because generally MRPs remain the same and the rates are not reduced, so the buyers do not benefit, the consumers do not benefit. So many complaints have come on the National Anti-Profiteering Authority website too, and the majority of these complaints are against firms in real estate and FMCG sector. So National Anti-Profiteering Authority is going to now reach out to e-commerce companies first. So here you can see what are the steps taken in such cases too. So when an accusation comes, it goes to the standing committee which checks for evidence. Then the Director General of Safeguards undertakes detailed investigation, and then the Anti-Profiteering Authority gives its sees if the accusation is proven. Then it has various options. It can first of all order price reduction, compensation to recipient with interest, or it can call for penalty as it goes into the Consumer Welfare Fund, and also finally in the extreme cases it can also cancel registration of the company under GST. Then next is India to ally with China on Asian premium. So India and China are going to work together on this Asian premium issue, which we have discussed quite often. This is a premium, an extra amount which is charged from Asian countries by OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Also, we have discussed this quite often, that this Asian premium is charged by OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries, because they provide petroleum at subsidized prices to US and Western powers. So for the US purchases, when the subsidies are provided, so that has to be recouped from Asia. So they have picked up Asian buyers. So Asian buyers have to recoup that gap. So this has been protested against by the Indian Petroleum Minister quite often, Dharmendra Pradhan. And now India has said that they would coordinate with China and other Asian countries to raise their voice against this Asian premium. Rather, they say they should be given a subsidy rather than be charged a premium amount when they are buying petroleum from OPEC members. So you should know about OPEC members too. There are 14 members presently, 2 from South America, Ecuador, Venezuela. There are 4 shown here. There are 6 from Africa presently. The next 2 being added in 2016 and 17, Equatorial Guinea and Gabon. So Algeria, Libya, Nigeria, Angola, other 4. And then these West Asian countries, Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, Iran, Iraq and Kuwait. So these are the OPEC members. Then next is what demonetization did to tax collection. So demonetization, its effect, consequences are being studied, and it was stated to be actually targeting terrorism financing, terror financing, targeting corruption and counterfeiting of currencies, and also ensuring tax compliance. So terrorism has been reduced on our terror financing because of demonetization, can be debated on. Corruption, whether it has gone down or not, is debatable. Even counterfeiting, whether it has gone down or not, is debatable. But one aspect on which data has been shown in this article by the writer, that tax compliance has improved after demonetization. So direct tax collections have increased. So direct tax collections over the years keeps on increasing. So even in 2017 it was 14.6% increase. So every year, financial year, we see an increase in direct tax collection. In 15-16 also there was an increase of 8.9% and 6.9% respectively. So this was there, but in financial year 2014, the direct tax collection increased by 14.3%. In 2011, it increased by 18%. So of course, these were not the years when demonetization was implemented, but still we saw high direct tax collection. Financial year 2018 has seen an increase of 17.1%. So these higher rates have also been brought in 2011 without demonetization. So then it is said that direct tax collection, of course, increases over the years, the increase in the direct tax collection, but then this has to be seen in terms of direct tax buoyancy. So this direct tax buoyancy is a term which means direct tax collected. You can see its definition shown. Tax buoyancy measures the growth in tax collection for each year divided by the nominal GDP growth. So how GDP is growing and how tax collection is growing, that is seen as a ratio. So this actually gives a better picture of tax buoyancy. So tax buoyancy post demonetization has increased, is being highlighted here. So it was around 0.5 to 1.1 in earlier years, but in 2017 it has increased to 1.3 times, and in 2018 to 1.7 times. So this aspect has been highlighted. Also, you should know that direct taxes paid, the income tax payers in the country is quite low. It's only 3% of the total population. So they are called unfortunate 3%, and many jokes, etc. are also there on this aspect. But then it is said that presently the direct tax base has also increased. So out of the 125 crore population, presently 8.27 crore tax paying entities are there. So this has increased from 3% to a little higher. So this is another aspect highlighted. And finally, it is said that India's tax base may increase, number of taxpayers may increase, but the tax collection as such has not increased. And that tax collection will not increase because though that new people file their returns, income tax returns, but they will join the bottom of the pyramid in tax rates. So tax rates for them are nominal or nil. So that actually does not result in tax collection increasing, but then the author says that over the years, these new returns filers will graduate into higher tax slabs and give better pay higher taxes, so government would benefit, and government will finally have to loosen its anti-evasion measures and high income tax rates. So this is the article here debating on this aspect. Then next, the last news item is MIT's Alterego, device that taps into your inner thoughts. So MIT Media Lab has actually the student here as such has Arnav Kapoor and his brother Shreyas. He's an undergraduate student. So they, under the guidance of Dr. Patty Myers of MIT, have developed this device called Alterego. So its first public prototype as such has been, put forth. So this actually interprets silent speaking. So silent speaking means what you're thinking. So when a person is thinking something, that is interpreted by this device, and then the necessary feedback or audio can be sent back to the user. So this is Alterego, which has been developed. So this transmission here takes place through bone conduction, vibrations to the skulls. So no one else can hear. So Alterego actually requires knowledge from variety of fields. It's not just from one area, like neuroscience, electrophysiology, etc. are important. Computer science, machine learning, hardware design, software application, plus also the materials being developed, because it will be a wearable device. So material science research is also in progress to develop a transparent device for it too. So here you can see the detail is provided. So these are the news items. Thank you.